Does anyone know where I can get a quarantine haircut? Let me know in the comments below. Hey everyone, my name is Jack, and about 2 weeks ago I posted a video talking about the National Multifamily Housing Council's data that showed that only 69% of tenants paid their rent before April 5th, the typical due date for all rent payments. That was over 10 points less than March's payment rate before March 5th. A week later, that total was updated to 84%, which was only 7 points lower than the previous month, and I did a videos on those numbers as well. But this week we got even more data showing that 89% of renters paid their rents by April 19th. This is compared to 93% last month, so that is a 4-point drop, but it's certainly way better than what many people, including myself, originally thought it was going to be. Basically, we only had about a 5% drop off of last month. So what do we do with this data? Well, before I get into that, if you guys want to see more of this type of content on real estate, the markets, and investing, be sure to hit the like button so I know that you like this sort of content and I'll create more of it. Also, I am not a financial advisor, just some guy. Thanks. But just like before, this data is very high level. It does not differentiate between partial and full rent payments, and we undoubtedly had way more partial rent payments this month than last month. Many landlords do have cash reserves to where they can offer partial rent to struggling tenants, and that's not reflected in this data. We also have had millions of Americans who've received their stimulus deposits, while millions more are still waiting for their checks or their deposits. This certainly would only help struggling renters. I would expect a slight increase, at least, in next week's data when we have even more tenants who can pay their rent once their stimulus checks come in. And if that were to happen, then it looks like we'd have close to the same numbers as last month, which would frankly be awesome. The longer we can avoid a catastrophic collapse in the real estate market, obviously the better. The stimulus checks might be enough to buy at least just a few more weeks for those over-leveraged or undercapitalized real estate investors and landlords by giving them more renters who can pay rent. That said, I'm very skeptical about a second stimulus bill coming through, but maybe it'll happen, who knows. If it does, then I would imagine that many more tenants will still be able to pay rent, even as unemployment continues to climb rapidly. The best case scenario would be some sort of medicine coming through, or a vaccine if it's super early, that would stop the pandemic, or at least control it to where we could open up the economy and get people working again so that they can pay for their basic expenses. We can only rely on the government for so long, and as we do, we're pulling from our future ability to take care of this sort of crisis or any other economic pandemic we might have. As much as we'd like to believe that the government can just print as much money as it wants without any consequences, that obviously isn't the case. The only way to get back to where we were is to get through this pandemic and open things back up. That could be weeks away, that could be months away. Your guess is as good as mine. But this data certainly has me getting a lot more optimistic than before, in that we actually have maybe a little more time than I would have thought. When we saw the data at the beginning of the month, it looked very bad. Well, that's because it was. But thankfully, people were able to find a way to pay their rent this month, even if it was only partially, which will help to avoid a much worse economic disaster. But without a big change in the circumstances, I'd imagine that this is probably going to be the best month of the pandemic that we're going to see. I can only think that it's going to get much worse in May as people empty their reserves and start to run out of cash, especially those who have been laid off. Some people may even be able to pull out debt to take care of their expenses, in which case we'll just be kicking the can down the road. The bigger question, arguably, is how the real estate industry will respond to the decreasing number of tenants who can make their full rent payments. Whether you care about what's coming next or not, be sure to check out my affiliate links in the description below to get yourself 3 free stocks by signing up for Webull and Robinhood. You can sell those stocks right after getting them and close your accounts. Doesn't really matter to me. They're free stocks on free brokerages, so get your free money. It might only be a few bucks worth of stocks, but I was able to get 20 bucks worth of stocks when I opened my Webull account, so you might as well take a shot as well. You apparently can get a stock worth up to $1,400 when you open an account with Webull, and up to $200 with Robinhood. Definitely let me know what stocks you guys get, so I know that this promotion is a good one. Well, that's all I've got for today. If you like this video, like it, since it helps the channel out a lot. If you want to see more of this type of content on real estate, investing, and other personal finance topics, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new updates. I post new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. What do you think is coming for real estate? How much worse do you think May is going to be than April, if at all? Definitely let me know in the comments below, but until next time, take care.